So the plan for today is that we're going to kind of take you through how to make the best use of your course profile, and that would be in Jack, which is brand spanking new and being implemented this semester as we speak. So I noticed downstairs there's a training opportunities if you haven't yet put your course instance up yet. So that was available if you kind of want to like go into there. We're talking about Learn at UQ, or basically your Blackboard site, and any other tools and platforms around the place. We're going to think about what kind of communication strategy that you're going to use for your students, particularly thinking about what your expectations are of your students and what their expectations of you might be as well. So it's a kind of, I always think of that teaching and learning is such a reciprocal arrangement. And so it's kind of, there's expectations on both sides. So managing those will make your life a whole lot easier. Thanks, Shari. Okay, so the digital teaching framework, it came out as a result of the move to online during the COVID outbreak. And so what happened? How soon we forget? So during that time, we obviously did a lot of work on digital online thing. But so we put together this digital teaching framework, which was kind of a minimum standard viable product, I suppose. So what you really, really, really need to have when you're teaching online, but what it actually works as, because we teach online all the time, because our learning management systems are your students at the most. It's the most place that they go to. They see that they probably spend more time in Blackboard and other digital tools than they actually do with you. So making sure that those spaces are schmicko and work for you and work for your students is really, really important. So today we're going to focus on usability and structure and communication and materials. So there's eight different spaces they're available here, but we're just going to look at usability and structure. And you can see it's like a checklist. And we've actually got, and Sari's going to pop this in the chat for us. Okay, so you can see this is something I put together. So it might give you, it's like a framework that you can use as you work through to develop your course. Okay, so and you can check things off as you go, and hopefully it'll become a really valuable tool for you as you think about it. Think about your spaces, your learning spaces for students. The thing about it is that, so this kind of good design is obviously very, very important, but it's also it's a valuable exercise, particularly if you're redeveloping your Blackboard site, or you may be part of, there's a new Blackboard Ultra is currently being running through a proof of concept. So the learning management system, while there's no guarantee that we're going to shift to Ultra, there is currently going through proof of concept spaces. So it's a very, if you're a more experienced course coordinator, or you've inherited somebody else's Blackboard site, then using this to make sure that you can work through that system is a very valuable exercise. So this is our gift to you today, but and please try and use it, because I think it's a valuable thing to do to checklist through what you're doing.
And Karen, I think you mentioned as well, we will share all resources, the PowerPoint with all links at the end of the presentation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, all right, get back to, so while we're focusing on usability and structure, communication and materials, and we'll keep, and as you can see, I've got them all in here, the whole thing, but these are all available at that website there. So when you get this PowerPoint, you'll be able to access this digital teaching framework. Okay, so you can see there's more, but wait, there's more.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going. And I'm not going to go through all those ones, because we're talking about getting in that classroom in a couple of weeks' time. So if you're brand new and you've suddenly inherited a course, or you've just you're starting to teach next in 2 weeks' time, we recommend we've got a series of recommendations that you might like to go through. So if you can bear with me, I think this is going to be, hopefully this will be valuable for you, because we're trying to signpost, I suppose. This exercise is signposting where you need to go and what you need to do to get through the next little while, so to speak. So finding out about your course. There are people who may have taught that course before. There are people, your program coordinator, you've got the school director of teaching learning. All of these people can talk you through where your course sits within the multiverse of your program. So having a think about that and where it fits is a really important idea. You can go and speak to past course coordinators, and I recommend that, particularly if you inherited an old course or inherited somebody else's course. Then having a chat to those people is really, really valuable. Another space that you can go to are the student evaluations, which are available. The course evaluations are available in Reportal, alongside the student evaluations for set tutors aren't, but certainly the CCATs for courses are available in the system, in Reportal. Consider who will need to be part of the planning for your course. You might be working across, I know people who have co-course coordinators, I know people who are course coordinators, but then they have a team of teachers underneath them, and tutors as well. So making sure that you manage these people is also going to be an important part of getting that course up and running. The second recommendation we have is to learn about your learners. Okay, so we've got the student enrollment profile for your course is in Course Insights. And you might just, I'll just flash through the other two. Meet with coordinators of prerequisite courses. So those are the courses that go before. So know where your students have come from, know what their skill set is before they get to you. And learning about your learners, you might like to invite them, and this is a bit like about that communication part that I was talking about for later, invite your students to introduce themselves on the course discussion board. But can we just flick to that, the bit about Course Insights, Shari?
What, would you like me to click on it?
The next slide.
One.
The next slide, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a whole learning analytics team who have developed this wonderful Course Insights tool, which is currently available in your Blackboard site at this particular space. So you can see, you can go to Tools, and then Course Insights flicks up. Okay, you can, and the buzzwords were filterable and comparative user interface for teaching staff to gain actionable insight from student data. So here is a real-time understanding of what your students are doing at any one point in time in the digital space. So how many videos did they watch? Have they been looking, what have they been looking at? Have they accessed your Ed discussion board? Have they accessed your notes on particular things? Have they been into your welcome message? All of these things are available in the Course Insights tool. So we recommend that you use it perhaps and think about how you might use it. We have a number of staff that have trialed it before, and it's not brand new by any means, but yeah, so let's just, I think Carl's got his little video here, so we might just have a quick look at what he says about it.
Hi everyone, my name's Carl Sherwood. I'm the Director of Education in the School of Economics and a Senior Lecturer. And I've been taking Econ 1310 and Econ 1010 and some MBA courses for several years at UQ. And I think Teacher Insights is a fantastic tool to provide some insights to help in these courses. So using Teacher Insights, you can do some nifty things like getting data on your students. And perhaps that's the most important thing, I think, really getting to know who is in your class. So if you have a large class, say of 1,000 students, of which I do have, some of the more interesting things I like to do is to try and find out who perhaps are the mature age students, which you can use the tool to filter out and get a nice histogram of ages. And it's very easy to find the outliers. And when you go to class, I can actually have a chat to some of these guys, and they really appreciate the fact that you come and talk to them. So you might like to consider the breakdown of international versus domestic students. And if you can do that before you go to class, you might deliberately set the first table up with a mixture of these students and force them to sit at those tables and introduce themselves. So thinking about assessment, how could you use teacher insights? One way would be, if you've got progressive assessments, is to use the assessment tool to show the results to the students during the lecture as to how they're performing. And I find students really like to see, well, am I at the top, am I in the middle, or at the bottom? So they like to see that. But from your perspective as a lecturer, you can actually identify in the lecture, hey, look, there's some people down this bottom end of the distribution.
Okay, thank you.
Perhaps you're struggling.
Enough, Carla. You get the idea. Okay, so super valuable tool. The only other thing that I would like to point out about that, the Course Insights tool, is it actually has the opportunity for you to filter your students in terms of, like Carl was talking about, filtering your students in terms of assessment. You can filter their assessment results and send in emails to particular students. So if you've got, you know, students that have got 6s and 7s, you can go, hey, wow, congratulations on doing so well. Any way I can help, you know, think about doing these kinds of things. You know, maybe the people who weren't so successful, you can say, hey, yeah, I noticed that you didn't do so well on that quiz last time. You might like to direct your attention to this kind of support. And so it's really, really valuable and quite easy to use once you kind of get your head around it. There's templates for some of those emails in the system. And yeah, so well worth having a look at and really very, very useful. Thanks. Okay, so I'd like to set you up with like a job. Your first job is thinking about, when you go away, is the kind of what kind of strategies will you use to better understand your course and who your students will be. So in the chat, are you kind of, what are you thinking? Okay, is it going to be a, you know, who are you going to talk to? So just maybe if you just pop something in the chat so that I know you're out there. About what you might do, or what you think you might do to think about the strategies that to understand your course and your students better.
Yeah, poll, discussion boards, assessment tasks. Just while you're doing that, Karen, can I pop out and show Flipgrid?
Yeah, you can
So
indeed.
Flipgrid, this is in the e-learning page. I can just this has been a popular tool. It's a video-based social learning platform, and there's some information there on how and why you would use it, and some case studies of course coordinators and academics who have used that successfully. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that. Flip.
Yeah, and so that link will be in this session too. So we've got,
oh yeah, it's there too.
Yeah,
So there you go.
The Nathan Ed discussion board. Can you? Where are you, Nathan? Is it possible for you? Can you just kind of give me like a 25 seconds or less the Ed discussion board for people who may not know what it looks like yet? You sounded knowledgeable, Nathan.
Oh, he's in the chat. There's a live meeting. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. So for the Ed discussion, okay.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. So Ed discussion.
Oh, yeah, no.
Thank you. Sorry, I called out the one person that couldn't speak. Okay. Icebreakers. So the Ed discussion board sits within, is a kind of a plug-in at the moment. It's a plug-in to into your Blackboard site. In Ultra, it's actually embedded in there as well. So, thank you, Lisa. Padlet's fabulous. Okay, yes. I love that, Emma. One of the course coordinators I worked with previously asked students to contact them with any key material they might need from their learning and pronouns, and made a pre-filled form to help with that. Nice. Okay, so Shari's got that in the chat. Okay. Oh, use of course insights will be great. TCATs, do I have access to these? Yes, they're in a public space, Lisa, and we can send you to the space that you need to go to there. Excellent. Thank you very much for your input there, people. We're well on the way. Okay, so as a teacher, and we all know as teachers, we have enormous amounts of administrative tasks to fulfill as we go through. Most recently, as I mentioned before, we shifted into course insights within the JAC system, called JAC because I believe it was named after the jacarandas, the much loved jacarandas, which shed every year in November. It must be exam times. So yes, so you need to develop and submit your course insights. So can I just have a vote to see if you're course coordinating this semester, have you done your, and you can see the new JAC system there on the right-hand side of the slide there. Hands up those people who have their CPs course instances published. Yay, Nathan. Ooh, Emma, thank you. Daniel, yoo-hoo. Okay, I'm assuming some of the other, Lisa, thank you. I'm assuming other people may or may not be actually, oh, thank you, Katie. Excellent, and Soraya. Okay, so can I just, if you, as far as I understand, the course insights, the new course insight, not course insights, the new course instance space is pretty easy to use. Is that correct? If you've been responsible for shifting your course from the old ECPs. Anybody want to talk about that? No. As I understand it, it's pretty good. So it's a much more intuitive tool, and hopefully that's the case. Okay, if it's your, there's a bunch of links in this PowerPoint if you haven't got to create it, or you're going to creating and editing your course insights. You need to request a Blackboard site, and then you have to decide whether you're going to use learning pathways or not. These are just a few tests. Maybe you want to just jump to that learning pathway tool.
Would you like me to click on it?
Yeah, why not? Okay. Learning Pathways is a banner that sits above in your Blackboard site, that when the students first open it up, it sits across the top of the page. So instantly, as soon as they open up their Blackboard site, it's there. And it's like across the 12 weeks. Okay, so it's a visual representation with links to the different activities for each week. So people who have large courses love it because it's a really easy way for students to map at each stage what they're expected to do at that particular week. So if it's something, if you're new to UQ or new to teaching at UQ, it might be something that you would like to look at. Okay, so this we just always pop this in for library. The library people, because you need to make sure that you've ordered your textbooks and your other learning resources. You certainly need to make sure that your course reading list is sent to the library, and I think there's a new system in place to put that as well. And I'll add that to the slide later on. Make sure your rooms are all sorted out, and make sure that you've got your class lists and everything, and your exam protocols are in place. My only other advice on if you're booking rooms or you have a room, what did we say yesterday, Shari? Make sure.
Oh, but going ahead of time.
Yeah, go ahead of time.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what teachers who have experienced that first day where the equipment doesn't work is make sure you go to your room and get comfortable, get to know it, test the equipment, test Zoom, make sure you can share your screen. And if you have any issues, now is the time to contact, I'll put a link, Log a Job with ITS. There are these details in every lectern that have how to call get AV support. So I've just put that in the chat. So it's worth it to go check out your space now.
Yeah, we've had serious, so I work a bit in learning spaces, and we've had different academics at different points in time go, I arrived there, they even said they gave themselves, 15 or 20 minutes, and because of the system had not, not been used for 4 weeks, it had reset itself or it had just gone whatever. So always double check. It's well worth your time to make sure, and you know where it is, of course, too, as well. Thanks, Shari. Okay, so why should we do this? Why should you get organised and get everything out? I picked this off Stalker Space a couple of years ago, but I think it still works. So basically, students really appreciate the fact that you put your course profiles up and even your Blackboard sites as well. So it's like the first point. It's the first point of communication that you're making with those students. So I think it's super important.
And it's that first impression too. Hey, Karen, like
yeah.
If you are organized and on the ball from the start, then that sets the pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Next slide. Okay, so I stole this. Blackboard is the UQ's most frequently used platform. It's more frequently attended than our physical campuses. So it is the gateway to students' kind of experience, I suppose. And I spend a lot of time talking to students for different reasons, but I love this comment from someone who kind of called out one of their course coordinators because they felt safe in their hands. And you can read it as it says there. I didn't put his name in there, but yeah. So students appreciate well-structured, well-organised learning management systems, in our case, Blackboard, and other resources as well. Okay. So preparing your course learning site, you are not alone. There is enormous amounts of resources around to help you. If you haven't quite got there yet, there's a lot of self-help available at different points in time. The e-learning has provided I think they've got like 100 guides on their website that you can take you through. Some of them are live, and some of them just work through screenshots. But you can access that for self-help. But you can also, in that same space, you can also book yourself a session with an individual learning designer, e-learning learning advisor. And the other task is that even during this week, we are running different sessions through e-learning. So if there's something you particularly want to do, and I think this morning we actually had a Blackboard session this morning in Ready to Teach Week. So lots of resources out there to help. The UQ's got encourages, doesn't mandate, but does encourage a consistent course design and structure through those courses, and you can find that in those links. Okay, as I said to you before, making your course site available to your students as early as possible is a good thing, and no later at the beginning of O week, although I know that you're probably struggling at the moment to kind of like get that thing happen. Okay, again, as we said, the first impressions, as Shari pointed out, are really important. So you being there, saying, hi, here we go, it gives that kind of sense of, I don't know, a safety net, I suppose, perhaps, something like that, and that they're comfortable with you. Thanks, Shari. How are we going for time? Right.
Halfway.
Okay.
Less than half. Over halfway, rather.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. So how can your course profile and Blackboard site be better structured to support and communicate with your students? So that's jump number 2. Any thoughts on that? If you just want to, what are you going to do as an action plan after, like, some of the people? Can we kind of have a thumbs up again as to whether you've published you've turned on your Blackboard site?
Maybe something we just went through that you hadn't thought of that you're now going to implement.
Yeah. Okay, setting it up. So you're still working on it, Daniel. Okay. hopefully, if you can find some of those information in some of those sites. Have you got any questions about setting it up? It's not up fully. Remembering that you don't actually have to have it fully up. You can just have that beginning point in time, and then you can have the rest of it can be set up, and only you can publish as you go. Selena, yeah, you've got your courses all ready to go. Excellent. Nathan, checking all the external links which were rolled over from last year. Most did not work, so I changed. This was a good tip. Okay. Yeah, that's a great tip. Things change so rarely, they're always changing. And sometimes it's worth actually checking out whether the resources in that Blackboard site are still things that you want now. So if you've got stuff that you've had there for 10 years, feel free to really think about whether you still want to use it this semester. Anybody's else's thoughts on how can your course profile be better structured? Oh, nice, Lisa. Yeah. So yeah, I think that in Jack is good. And I mean, really, it's a week before is kind of the best practice, I think, at this particular point in time. So excellent. Okay, so we might just keep on going. So we've talked about your course instance. We've talked about your presence in Blackboard. These are the primary ways that you, apart from lectures and tutorials, are the ways you're going to communicate with your students. So thinking about that's critical to the delivery. So the fourth thing I want to talk about today is making sure you think about managing your students' expectations with an effective communication plan. Now, how you do that is entirely up to you. And remembering that students work 24/7, and so how are you going to manage the ones that are emailing at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night? How are you going to manage are you going to put your personal email up? You start thinking about making decisions about how available you're going to be. So let's just hold that thought for a second. Shari, can you skip to the next one? Okay, so thinking about how your students are welcomed, we talk a little bit about that. How are they going to communicate with you? How are you going to communicate with them? Are you going to post an announcement? Now, what's the best, if I recall, posting, well, and many of the, I have access to many different Blackboard sites. And I think for me, best practice, Shari, is making that either a Monday morning announcement or a Friday afternoon announcement. So you set up that expectations that your students would know that once a week you're going to go, hey, how are you? This is what we're up for this week. So
yeah, Professor Kelly Matthews talks about setting up a rhythm, and so that it's the students know when to expect your communication. They know when they're getting feedback. When we go into assessments, you've managed the expectations, and that will help limit the 11 p.m. emails because they know when it's coming.
Oh, I love that. That's great. That's kind of like a rhythm. Yeah, that's a lovely way to think about it. So making sure that you're also communicating with all your contributors too as well. So you might have industry lecturers, you might have tutors, you might have different people and different places coming in at different points in time. Yeah, so I like that hint there. Invite guests to join the class a week before to present so they're familiar with any routines and where your students are up to. So nice hot tip there. Oh, and prepare to talk with your students and other staff about academic integrity and following it through the semester. Peter, are you there? Do you want to have a quick plug?
I am here. What was the question?
The question is around academic integrity and ensuring that remembering that the students are having to do the 2 courses over the semester to receive their grades.
The integrity course, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah. So, sorry, I was listening, but I was only half listening. So
Hardly sorry.
I was doing something else at the same time. Yes, there's the academic integrity modules, which are known as AIM. They're done in 2 parts, and we require students to complete part A by census date, and then complete part B by the end of week 13. And the intention is that they'd spread their learning across the whole of the semester and preferably complete some assessment items at a university level before completing part B. And part B also focuses on working in groups and how to evaluate one another within groups. So that's a really interesting part of it as well. For you as new teachers, you might be interested in having a look at it yourselves by going to the library. You can just do a Google UQ Library Academic Integrity, but there's also staff integrity modules that are a companion piece for the student ones that you might like to have a look at as well. Thanks,
Yeah.
Karen.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you for, sorry, I dropped you in it there.
That's all right. I'm just doing 2 things at once.
Okay, a bit of cold calling. Okay. Thanks, Shari. Okay, so I've just got a couple of examples. Kate O'Brien, Professor Kate O'Brien shares the good and not so good in email conversations. So she has a thing that she uses called ruthless compassion. And it means that she is kind of promoting that she does care, but she's very ruthless about maintaining her work-life balance. And making sure that she doesn't burn out and that she doesn't burn her students out either as well. So she actually trains her students to send the right kind of email so that they will respond. So as you see, she promotes these as part of her slide set. So she's got the effective and polite. I have a problem, and this is the solution. She says, thank you for your time, and then she gives the details as opposed to, hiya, classes are all full, can't sign on. So you obviously making sure that, you know, like you would like to see the first email rather than the second email. And I won't read through them, but you can see there's a problem, and this is what I think is the solution. So training your students to be able to do that, I think would benefit you and benefit them. I guess in that kind of business communication as well. So think about how you will train your students to communicate with you in the same way as how you communicate back with them. So that's like reciprocity around that. Okay. What will they expect in your course? What do you expect them to do? What will they expect you to do? So any thoughts on that? In job number 3 or question number 3, now somebody said that they were going to use Ed Discussion Board. That was you, Nathan. What other mode of communication will you be using out there in Zoom land? You can pop that in chat if you like, or you can unmute if you wish and jump in. Teams? Oh, Lisa. Oh, Lisa, do you want to talk about that? Woohoo.
Or have you used it before?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have used it before. I'd like to use it because I have the course I have is about 200 students, and I have 9 or 12 tutorials. So I've done I think the biggest thing for me is going to be organizing the students into the tutorial groups in the teams. I think that'll be really important for my course, because the students are required to do a lot of sharing and professional conversations and building community. So it's a place that they can feel safe in a smaller group, sharing with each other rather than sharing across 200 people. So that's how I really want to use Teams.
Nice. And so were you part of the trial of Teams in the last year or so?
No, I'm actually an educator for about 30 years in schools.
Oh, okay.
And so I have used Teams in a high school setting for many years, and it's just more like working working within the UQ system here to make sure I can use it for my tutors, and also working with my tutors, having an opportunity to work in that space with them, so that they have somewhere we can share resources with each other easily.
Okay, so that's a really standardizing everything, I guess, in that respect, so that everybody gets the same message. And don't forget that what you will need to do is, and that, as we pointed out, is consistency around the messages you send your students. So if, for example, we've had cases where students have asked a question of their lecturer, and the lecturer says, okay, can you please repost this on Ed Discussion Board so that I can answer it for everyone? But on the other hand, so if you've got an Ed Discussion Board, how many queries are you expecting to answer during assessment, hot intensive times like assessment times? I've known people in Sci 1000, which has 1,000 students, that they're answering up to 250 queries a day. So so thinking about those things and balancing those up, then thinking about how you're going to communicate with students becomes really, really important.
And shout out to Emma in the chat, who said, I've seen weekly wrap-up emails / announcements be really effective. Students respond really well. Example, this week we learned. So as a way, again, to hit the whole group rather than individual. So love that.
Yeah, nice.
Great.
Okay.
Okay,
so,
Karen, we've got 5 minutes.
Yep. Okay, you're on.
Oh, yeah. Pardon? What was that?
Okay, remember so we're going to, have we missed anything? Over to you.
Yeah.
So when we asked you at the beginning, why did you sign up for this course, this session? Have you got any other questions? Feel free to unmute or just jump into chat and we can answer from there.
While you're having a think of that, should we show them the Padlet?
Yes, please. Okay, so what Shari has here is, and it's a shout out to Chris Frost, who actually developed this so he's a learning designer in the HAS faculty, but we modified it and added a few more bits and pieces to show you where to go. So if you need technical support, Blackboard and Turnitin, learning tool support, learning design support, or any professional learning, you can jump in there. This might be a silly question. There are no silly questions here, Emma, but you can see the course insights if students have completed their AIM modules. Yes, the answer is yes, you can. So, and in fact, that's some of the ways that people have actually, that's the first time some people actually access Course Insights, because yes, you can see if they've actually done their AIM modules. So Shari's posted that.
Yeah, the Padlet. The Padlet's in the chat, but again, it is linked in these slides. Yeah. So when you get these slides, you'll have everything.
So yes, the answer to, do we have a standardized PowerPoint style to use in the lectures now? Brilliantly, I know the answer to this one, because it used to be available in the DAM, the UQ DAM, which is an acronym that I cannot quite recall, but
can't remember.
But if you go into now it's just become standard because we're all on MS across Microsoft tools. So if you go into your PowerPoint site, Lisa, you can, and you go to new. I don't know, Shari, can you see if you can jump into can you just open your PowerPoint just into the new space, and then what you can see is maybe not in, and download it and put it onto the desktop app rather than the.
Oh, you don't want me just to open a new one?
Yeah, no, I just want you to go to, I'm not sure, let's go to new. And see the University of Queensland?
Yep.
Woohoo. And if you open that, it actually
there
has
it is.
The PowerPoint right there and there.
Oh, that's so much better that it's right in here rather than having to go to DAM.
You don't have to go to the DAM. And wait for it, it's also Word as well. Yeah, so So that's like brand new, spanking new. I found that one out the other day.